And we got to go back to birth and for the first 7 years of your life in terms of how your decision making was created. And then whether it serves you or not is kind of a coin flip, because sometimes the first 7 years of life serve people incredibly well. But in other folks, the programming that you receive in the first 7 years of your life isn't helpful to get you where you want to be. How does this work? So the first thing we need to understand is how bias is created. Now, we all have it, okay? We all have it. And so we have this neural network in our brain that works off of stimulation. Now, what do we stimulate it with? Well, we stimulate it with ideas. And so what happens is that you take precepts, we turn them into concepts, and then we take concepts and we turn them into a belief structure. Now, if you don't think this happened in your home, well, some of you may have wanted to get away from your home, and then other of you are trying to get back to it. And so that's where this serves some people and this doesn't serve others. So the precepts and the concepts, so you have perceptions that you develop into concepts. You take these concepts and then you create belief structures associated with them. So you have experiences. Those experiences give you input. That provides you with an opinion, judgment. And then you turn that into the way the world operates around you. So let me help you understand belief structure in my world. Okay, first 7 years of my life and why the first 7 years matter. So in the first 7 years of your life, your brain is in a theta state. We can actually measure the waveform that the brain puts off. And you can change the waveform that your brain puts off depending on what state of consciousness you drop yourself into. Okay? Now, interestingly enough, generally people are running through life, cruising around in the subconscious, and it doesn't take in new information very well. New information by the subconscious is like, that's worthless. That doesn't help us out. And so, but in the first 7 years of your life, you have no precepts, you have no concepts. And so you go into a theta state in your brain, and that mimics hypnosis. So guess what? You're super suggestive. Or I should say, you're very open to suggestion for the first 7 years of your life. And what you see in children is that they are looking for how to be. They're looking for how to be. Now, what gets imprinted during those first 7 years is not judged. That's the interesting thing about family. That's why people can do really bad things to people, and then they don't hold them accountable for it, because in the first 7 years there's no judgment associated with it, meaning it imprints the way life is. So for instance, in my world, my dad was a mill worker, but actually what he was a street hustler, bookie, gambler. And so in my house, gambling was a way of life. It was actually, I didn't understand how other families didn't involve themselves with it. And then when people would say to me as I got older, they were like, it's so strange. They're like, where did you pick up this habit? And I was like, because I would do things like I could play cards in Las Vegas because my dad taught me how to count cards. That's what your father teaches you when he wants to spend time with you, is he flips cards at you and he tells you to predict what the next card is. And what I didn't understand is he was teaching me how to count cards. I was 22 years old when I realized one day I was sitting at a card table and I was like, holy cow. I was like, my father taught me how to cheat. I was like, I never knew what he was doing. He told me it was probability. That's exactly what he said. He was like, it's probability. And so that whole world around how money came in and out, which was to hustle people, that was normalized. Yeah, so everybody in my family hustled, everybody, for a certain point. And then when I started to question whether it was a good thing to be hustling everybody in my family looked at me and said, this is what pays the bills. This is how this is. This is how this works. They're foolish enough to give us the money. And so my belief structure was based around the fact that money was this thing that you stole from other people, because that's how I saw it, but I didn't think it was a bad thing. I didn't think it was a good thing. I just thought it was the way it was because everybody I saw around me was doing that. So my handling of money early in my life was really difficult to wrap my head around, because the programming I received was a belief structure was that money comes and money goes, and it's not of much value because you can always rip somebody else off if you need more. It was how it worked. And it wasn't good or bad, it was just how it was, you know?